Hey there everyone, Vizo87 here with a Yu Hakusho TCG video. This is a video I said I was going to make a while ago and I just never did because work got busy. So I never actually got around to making it. But today we're going to be looking at the top 10 most rare cards in the game. But these cards might not necessarily be the most expensive. So these are just the things that are really hard to find. Some of them don't have much of a market for them. There's not many people looking for it, or they're just so obscure. But a lot of the cards on this list will actually match some of the cards that are on the top 10 most expensive list. Of course, it makes sense. But like I said, just because the card is here doesn't necessarily mean it's expensive. So we're going to start with number 10, which if you look at the back of the card, you should be able to recognize it. So let's move that to the side. Number 10 is going to be the Origins card. So this card was given out before the game was even released back in 2003-ish, I believe, or 2001. I don't remember the year off the top of my head anymore. But they handed these cards out like candy to people who went to Origins that year. And maybe it was 2003, which makes sense because this came out in September, so that kind of lines up. But anyway, the card was handed out like candy, but a lot of the cards got damaged, destroyed, thrown out, because it was just a promo card. No one really cared about it, so over the years, the number of this just went down significantly. The card's worth, it's gotten up there. Back in the day, we used to spend like, 15, 20 bucks, 25 bucks to get this card. Now it's probably closer to like 40 bucks. I know there's there's like one or two on eBay at 75. I mean, if you want to buy it at that price, your money, your choice. But, yeah, I'm glad I got this card a few years ago when I did. I used to have a lot of copies of this. I have a friend of mine who also has a ton of copies of this card, which is why it's only here at number 10. Coming in at number 9, let's move this away. Oh, you probably just saw it. But coming in at number 9 is the Spirit Gun Double Score Stamped card. This card was also another card that was handed out. I actually believe it was handed out before the game released. Justin Cook has signed quite a few of these. I've got one or two signed by him as well. But it was just a card to promote the game. It has a nice gold score emblem on it. Pretty nice card. Again, this card used to be, pretty easy to come by a couple years ago. You could spend 10 bucks and get one. Now it's like a $20, $30 card. You don't really see it pop up that much. I don't even remember what it sold for last time, but it's nothing crazy. It's not like 50 bucks or 100 bucks, nothing like that. It's just, more for the collectors, the guys who were really into the game. Coming in at number 8, it will actually be surprising, and that is the Dark One. So the Dark One surprisingly does come in at number 8. We're starting to get to a point where we could start guesstimating numbers. There's probably about like 100 plus of these out there, which I didn't go over the numbers for Origins and Spirit Gun Double, but we don't really know anyway. But Dark One's probably got about 100 copies out there at least. But, some were damaged. There's a lot of people who are just holding on to them, me, at this point. So it's kind of hard to find them. But I honestly wouldn't say that there's less than like 75 of it out there. I just don't think there is. I think a lot of them are just stored away in collections, and people aren't going to get rid of them because it's, it's the Dark One. It's the card. So I would say that, probably between 75 and 100 of this out there. So if you're still looking for it, you definitely have a chance. I wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm never going to get this card. But you will end up dropping some serious money on it. You're going to drop at least $750. You'll probably be topping at about $1,000 for it. I wouldn't spend more than $1,000. And that's only if it's gem mint. Signed, unsigned, it doesn't really matter. Personally, I'm still looking for one of these unsigned, so we'll see. I did reach out to someone who I knew had one, but I guess his number changed because he never got back to me. Sad day. So that was number 8. Coming in at number 7, this card's got between probably about 50 and 60 copies out there, maybe up to 70, and that is the Yusuke Rising Successor. The Spirit Scanners promo. The toy does exist. It is out there. There are people that have it. I have the toy myself. But the best way to get this card was through, I believe, the judge promo points. That was the best way to get this card, which inflated the numbers out there. I think some people who used to moderate for the spirit boards, they were able to get some free copies. So, this card's definitely out there. There's probably about, like I said, about, between 50 and 75 copies of it out there. So it beats out the Dark One, and it comes really close to number 6. Like, number 6 and this can really go back and forth for the number of copies out there. But this was, like, the Yusuke to get at the time. It's Team Ryzen, who was one of the few Yusuke Ryzens for, God, I think until Alliance. No, actually, you know what? That might actually be true. But yeah, it was. I don't remember, but yeah, like this was the card to get, which is why I think when people got the points for it, a lot of people redeemed for this. So there's definitely more out there than we know of. Leads me into the next card, Euro to go. So this card was given out as a top 30 to top 16 card. I believe it was given out twice or something like that. Or no, it was given out top 16, I think, just once. But then every moderator at the time also received 2 copies, and there were 8 moderators at the time on the Spirit boards. So there was potentially about 32 copies floating around out there. And then I believe that this also dropped as a judge reward. However, not as many people redeemed for this card, which is why it beats Yusuke Rasen's successor out for the number of cards out there. And that's because it's a terrible card. Like, it's just absolutely terrible. If you redeemed for this card, you were probably just a collector as well as a judge. So most people were in the game at that point as players. So they weren't really redeeming for this card. It was mostly the Yusuke that was getting redeemed. This card, I mean, it hasn't shown up in a while now. So I wouldn't surprise me if it went between $150, maybe even up to $200. But like if you were trying to sell this on eBay, I would probably start at around 125 bidding and just see where it goes from there. I know I was paying close to around 100 or so per card. I needed 2 copies of this for years. I got my first 2 for 125 with a collection, so I was very lucky on that front. But yeah, Hero Otoko coming in at number 6. Like I said, about 50, 60 known copies probably out there. Uh-oh, I hope I didn't lose the camera. Alright, good. I didn't lose the camera. My battery went low. But anyway, let's continue on to number 5. And this is where the things start getting a little crazier. Things start getting pretty rare. So number 5 is actually Crazy Worlds. And you're probably like, OMG, I own this card. You probably don't. This is the double rainbow foil variant. So there's not as many of this card floating out there. There's probably around, I'd say, about 40 to 50 of this floating around out there. I've come across quite a few in my day. I think I'm currently in possession of 5. I was going to originally sell the 5th one, but then making this video, I realized I have one that's graded, and I hate having cards graded. Like, thanks, Ian. But anyway, not a particularly great card, but it's rare because it's the alternate foil variant, which a lot of the collectors are still seeking. Is it expensive? No, it's really not. I wouldn't expect it to go for more than $25, but honestly, there are a lot of people out there looking for it right now, so who really knows? If I were an eBay seller and if I were to sell it on eBay, I would start the bid at $25 and see where that goes from there. The ones that are interested in it, they'll bid on it. Coming in at number 4 is a card we haven't seen pop up in quite a few years, and that is a common card, Storm of Torment. And you're probably like, a common card in Ghost Files is one of the most rare cards in the game. The reason that this is because, let's see if we can get this pretty. Yeah, nice, look at that. We have the corrected version, C156 out of 176. This card, if it did see any distribution, it saw a very limited distribution. There was a guy a few years back on YouTube who had 2 copies of the card, and he said he pulled them from packs, which, you know, it didn't make sense, but, you know, looking back, it was like, how on earth could this guy have gotten the card? The only person that I know of that has this card is Scott Sager. He's the only one that has this. There's about 30 copies. He said he had about 30 copies of the card when we first bought them off of him through, I believe it was through Ian, which, you know, shout outs to Ian, even though I just talked trash about you, you know, graded cards. But anyway, pretty rare card. About 30 copies floating out there. Only the hardcore collectors are looking for it, though. I think I dropped, like, I want to say about $10 per copy of this card. It's not expensive at all, even though it's number 4 on the list. It's really not that expensive, even though it's rare. I wouldn't imagine it going for more than $20. But again, supply and demand. If there's a lot of people looking for it, it could see more than that if another were to pop up. Number 3, this is where things start going crazy. There are only 3 known copies of this card that I know of, at least. There could be more out there that I'm not sure of. And that is Head-On Assault, the alternate foil, the double rainbow foil. This is another card that's really, it's worth, you know, an amount, but it's not like $100 card. It's just not. You're not going to get $100 for this card. I mean, if you're lucky, you might. But personally, I just don't see it going for that much. I actually used to own all 3 copies, but not all at the same time. I had 2 double rainbow copies. I traded it to a friend because he had he had extra single rainbows but no double rainbow, and I was, like, oh, all right, I only need 1 copy. If I don't give this to him for a single rainbow, man, do I regret that. Yeah, I'm still looking for 2 copies of the double rainbow myself. So if that dude ever parts with his collection, he better know that I'm taking my card back. But yeah, head-on assault, double rainbow. You notice that double rainbow is a pretty common theme here. Yeah, score, I hate you for that. Number 2 is going to be very, very surprising. It might even be a misprint. I'm not 100% sure. It's likely that it's a misprint, but I'm going to include it anyway, and that is Kuwabara Noble Champion. Now, you're probably like, the box topper from Gateway? How does that make any sense? Everybody got a copy of that. You're right, probably everyone did, but they probably didn't get an unlimited one. I only have 1 copy of this myself. It's a single rainbow Kuwabara Noble Champion unlimited. It's assumed, I don't like the way the light's reflecting off that. There we go. It's assumed that the first edition stamp merely missed the card, which is totally typical of Score Entertainment. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about the card. Is it expensive? No. I paid, I think, $15 for it or something like that, only because it was like, oh, it's an unlimited. And I was like, in case I ever decide to collect unlimited stuff, I'll pick it up. And I'm glad I did. I picked it up quite a few years ago. I've only met 1 other person with one, and his is the same thing. He just assumed every box came with one when he bought it. And I actually assumed the same thing, that the unlimited boxes came with it. Until I informed him that, no, you're the only other person I've met with one. He was like, oh, well, that's cool. So, yeah, that was, just a neat discovery. So, at least there's more than 1 of it out there. So, maybe one day I'll find a double rainbow of this. So, if you're out there and you have a double rainbow of this card, unlimited, let me know. I'll give you some money for that. But, yeah, I'm not looking for any more copies of this. I have 1 copy. I'm content with that. Number 1. But before we get there, I just want to give an honorable mention to Epic Tales. It's a shame it didn't make this list. Inward Scream, I'm looking at you. This is your fault. It didn't make the list because of you. Because you have like 50 copies of it. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea. He's got a ton of copies of it. And informed me that there's actually a lot more out there than we knew. The blank cards, those are also pretty cool. But, I felt that they didn't really have a place in this video. Because those are clearly error cards. And I just felt that they didn't really belong here. Number 1. Comes as no surprise, I'm sure. The big boy. Again, this guy seems to make his way into every video. He a Determined Warrior, double rainbow. I do have a little more information about this card since my last videos about him, though. And that information is that this is probably the only copy. It's the only copy that we have found to date. And in talking with Ian, who I purchased this off of, who purchased it from... Actually, I probably shouldn't say, because, I don't think that person wants their name out there. So I'm not going to say who he got it from. But they said that, they only had 1 copy of this card, and that it's very likely that this was actually a test card, that this was just a beta, and that it wasn't actually supposed to ever be, like, taken away, I guess, from the company, which is kind of why I didn't want to say the name. So it's very likely that this is one of one, that there's no other copies of this card out there, except perhaps on a double rainbow promo sheet, which, oh man, if that thing exists... I'm going to town on that sheet. Like, if anyone tries, just forget it, because I'm purchasing it. That's just that. So, no surprise. Like I said, this is number 1. If another copy comes out, the price of it will obviously drop. Although a lot of people are going to be interested in it, including me. I want more than 1 copy of the card. That's just how I am. I know some people don't like that about me. They're like, oh, why you gotta be such a hog? And it's like, well, I get that, but like... This is my hobby. This is the one thing that I go crazy about is this card game, because I love the card game, I love the anime, and it's just, this is my thing, man. Like, this is my thing. So, sorry, not sorry, I guess. I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm like, sorry. But anyway, that's the top 10. I kind of neglected to name down prices for those last couple of cards, or maybe I did name prices, or I don't remember anymore. Again, this is based off of rarity. This is not based on price. This doesn't mean, oh my god, Kuwabara Box Topper Unlimited was number 2, it's worth like $1,000. No, it's not. There's a very small market for it. I can only think of one other person who's looking for it. So, you're not going to have much of a market for the card. Supply and demand. there's not a lot of supply, but there's also not a lot of demand. Anyway, this video is 15 minutes. You're tired of looking at Hiei, I'm sure. I'm tired of looking at him. Just kidding. I can never get tired of looking at it. But anyway, those were the top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know what other video I could make at this point. Because I've kind of gone over my collection a few times. I think maybe once I finish my unlimited collection, then I'll make another, video about my collection. But until then, stay tuned. Instagram is definitely the place to check out if you're interested in seeing Yu Hakusho TCG stuff. I do upload on there when I can. Usually more of mail time now at this point instead of just cards. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, subscribe, like, and comment. But if you want to do that, feel free to. Talk about the game. I don't really care. There's a Discord link in the description if I remember to put it in there. We talk about the game there. You just have to get verified. You're going to have to make an account on the forum so we can verify that, you're not a bot or anything like that. And like I said, follow the Instagram. Seriously, it's cool. I upload some pretty cool stuff. I do upload non-Yu Hakusho, which, there will be videos coming soon of non-Yu Hakusho, so stay tuned for that if you're into just card games in general. But until then, you guys have a good one. Stay safe out there with the coronavirus. Oh no, I said the big C word. But anyway, stay safe out there, guys. Keep collecting, keep doing what you do, and I'll see you next time.